Good morning, Johnny. How you doing? Here, we have. Okay, literally, are we? Oh, that's good. Troubleshooting Zigbee network spectrum analyzer. Very interesting. I imagine. I've never messed with Zigbee stuff. Did a little tiny bit of experiments with the. Oh, what are those called? They just released some newer ones as well. RFM? RFM 6.9 or 9.6? There's two different ones I never actually did figure out. Oh, LoRa, I think, is the short name for a couple of them. This is the only kind of radio stuff I've ever really messed with. I only did a tiny bit with it. Oh, nice. Okay, so you're like recording it into some kind of plot. You can kind of see what's going on in the surrounding area. That's pretty cool. Is that over time or something? Bottom there. Interesting, yeah. 0.4 gigahertz. I see. Messed with by the Wi-Fi network. All right, so for anybody that might be new, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. We are going to be working on some CircuitPython stuff again this morning. In particular, what I have in mind is a thing which it turns out is called dilation, which I did not know until this morning, the name of this concept. But to give you the really quick version, what I want to be able to do is make text like this with an outline stroke. Sometimes they call it a stroke in like Photoshop and similar stuff. Because without the outline, it's really hard to see when you have text against a crazy background like this. It's a little bit better if the text is white, but it's still not great, and it's a lot better if you add an outline around the outside of the text in some kind of color that contrasts with whatever color the text actually is. And I want to make a way to do this with probably bitmap labels is going to be the easiest one to do it with. Good morning also to DJ Devin. How's it going? So I had a couple ideas of how to do this, and I have in mind an idea which I think will work, but be kind of slow, but also seems like I'm going pretty much the right direction towards the kind of accepted general solution to this problem, which effectively boils down to scan through your source image, which in this case is on the left. Everywhere you find a pixel that's in the state that you're interested in, so in this example it's just ones and zeros and it's really basic. In our case we'll have different colors, but the concept is the same. Anywhere you find a pixel you're interested in, then you're essentially going to stamp this other thing kind of like on top of it. So this is a 3x3, which means when we find this one, it's going to fill in the first 3x3 box of this. Which means these outer zeros here are going to change to ones. And then we would effectively do that for every pixel in the source. So we would just scan one at a time. Everywhere we find this, we stamp in the other one. And when we're done, our picture will have gotten bigger by a little bit, by 1 pixel in this case. So we'll have grown a 1 pixel border. This one is only 2 colors, like black and white. You could think of it, zeros and ones. We're going to have 3 colors, technically. Foreground color, which the text will be. An outline color, which the outline will be. And then we'll technically have a 3rd color, which will get made transparent for being able to see through the rest. One decision I do have to make is, do I want to write this code immediately at the Python level? Or do I want to try to change the split function inside the core to add a new argument that would make this easier? I think I'm going to start with the Python code. Let's go and see Grover. Good morning. I just have a PyPortal loaded up. I'm just going to kind of get a bitmap to work with. Kind of need the background too. Maybe I'll start with a background that's just a third color. Yeah. Want simple test for bitmap. So this is Cleveland art. I think I have a copy of it anyway on. Actually, maybe not. The other device. This is a Learn Guide project. I don't necessarily need to save a copy of it, but I don't recall if I made any tweaks to it. And if so, it would be nice to be able to come back to having that copy later on in the future. One thing I'm going to do is it called padding? I'm going to put padding nice and big. And I'm just going to do it on all. I'm going to leave it like that for now. Let's do color. I'm going to say for now, let's say the color we want to be white. And the background color to be, let's say blue. And then let's use anchor point and anchor position because I prefer them. Oops. Just put it kind of somewhere. Not quite on the edge, but not quite anywhere specific. That's a little bit big on the padding, but I guess really we kind of want padding all the way around because we do need to make sure that our bitmap is big enough that we have room for our outline. So I think I'm actually going to take that and give us padding on all four sides. Something like that. Okay, bitmap labels. It's cheaty, but it works. Font styles. Link. They want the message. I want the. I don't know what they consider the message link. Is that going to link me to Discord, or is that going to link me to the place that that thing? To Discord, or is that going to link me to where the link goes? Oh, okay. Yeah, and then shadow. So shadow, you could effectively choose whether you want it to be shadow like on only one side or not based on this thing. You change this to be different. You can affect how it works. How did you put in here? Up font labels. These are bitmap labels. No, it's actually regular labels. background. Nice outline. Where do these outlines come? I didn't actually see. Oh, okay. You made bigger versions of the text, basically, right? Made like one small version and one big version and then layered them on top. Or in the case, sorry, I just bashed the microphone. In the case of the red, white, and blue one, it's actually 3 or 4 different ones and then they're offset. Interesting. Okay. Or of the same and then offset. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Offset up, down, left, right, all by one. And then so on this one you did 3 different colors, but it's still 4 different copies. And then on the shadow, you just do only 2 or even only 1 if you want. Nice. That's a good way to do it. Probably would cover my use case, but I do think I'm going to go at it at a different angle. To where essentially we'll be able to do it on arbitrary bitmaps also. So font is definitely what I have in mind as well. But technically, if we implement this thing right, we can do it on any bitmap. Might be kind of fun as well. Nice, thank you for sharing that though. Because they're all layers. The ice one is interesting too. Is the ice one the same way? It's just like a... Is that one of the ones that was using the bitmap? Much same way, looks like it, yep. 3 of those. You just have blue, then like a white and a gray, and it kind of gives it like a holographic look or something. It's almost like a, it almost gives it like a bevel. It look 3D almost. Padding left doesn't exist. You didn't. I already have left. Bottom. Okay, now we have a nice big background to work with on our bitmap. Let's we can up the old scale a bit as well. Easier to see. Imagery illusion using different colors. Bit late was finishing yesterday's deep dive regarding yellow lines. Those are emphasized lines configured in examples rest. Interesting. Thank you for that heads up. I have not ever seen those in there. Randomly, which obviously a million of. Oops, no, we want docs. Huh. Nice. Yeah, thank you. I did not know that at all. I've always just seen the list of stuff in here. I've never even, honestly, never even considered the other kind of stuff you could add in, figure in here. Yeah, for sure. Add the return and pull. Yeah, I think that'd be nifty. Be able to know if you did serve a thing or not. You could do some kind of like a notification light or something like that. Like if we actually did return a response, like blink a thing green or something maybe. Okay. It's probably overkill. We don't need it to be that big, so we probably could have got away with a little bit less padding, but that's all right. So one tricky bit right now is that the bitmap that we have is kind of tucked inside this label. And it probably does not have enough colors. I'm going to open this in PyCharm, actually. No way. Basically, we're going to need to get this bitmap and maybe even copy the stuff from it over to a new one that has more colors or something like that so that we can start adding stuff to it. Or the other way I guess we could do it is start modifying inside bitmap label. Super keen on that. Although it would eventually be cool to have like an outlined label, like another label class called outlined label that would have a constructor that lets you choose the color and the outline color. But I don't think I want to make that to start with that way. Really what I want is the general idea of, oh, they call it dilating the shape inside the bitmap, turns out. Dilating the, I guess shape is the best way to put it, stuff inside the bitmap. How big is this? Always 2. And I think you can't, I don't think you can change that either. I think you can just like change the color count. Have to provide it, oops, this is bitmap tools. Have to provide it when you create it. I don't think you can. These days, I'm going to try to see if there's a different way that this search could work to be faster. Yeah, value count gets passed here, but there's no like dot value count equals to change it. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We have a bitmap on here somewhere, right? Self dot, well, what did we put that one we created? Right. I see we're back in the base. Bitmap. We put it on new bitmap and then we put it on underscore bitmap. Do we have a public? Probably not, right? Oh, there is. Nice. Okay. Cool. So we're going to create our text. We're going to grab the bitmap from it and then copy the contents of that bitmap into a different bitmap. And then that will be the one that we actually manipulate. Also going to show main group, and we're going to change that to be spelled right. Also kind of prefer to have display like this. In this case, it doesn't matter that much, but makes the code more portable. Won't be able to hang out, got an appointment. Definitely rewatch, very interested to see what you come up with. Nice, yep, take it easy. You have a nice day. So we're not adding our label to main group right now, so this should just be showing a blank screen, yeah. What I want to do now is make a new bitmap. So other bitmap equals bitmap. This one we need size, which is going to be the same size as bitmap from bitmap labels. So we're going to say I'm going to actually create source bitmap. So we only have to take this off once. Why it thinks that doesn't exist? Interesting. Did we not just see that in the code? Huh. Okay. Bitmap. What does this get? Oh well, okay. One thing is this needs like that. Width height value count. Go source bitmap dot width bitmap dot height. We don't seem to have these things filled in. Value count. I mean, technically, we just need 3. But not really much downside of creating a few more. I mean, it will take up more memory, but I'm going to create a few more. We can have other palette. And just say 5 on that as well. And now go other bitmap dot lit 0 0 source bitmap. That might actually be all we have to do. So other bitmap should now contain a copy of what source bitmap contains. However, we do need to create the palette to be the same. Well, it gets created as 2. I don't know which one's background and which one's foreground. Bitmap. It turns out the index at 1 is 0, and the index at 0 is the background. I don't know why I just called that 0. Index at 1 is the foreground, index at 0 is the background. So we can go other palette 0 equals text area palette. I suppose we did not really need to know which was which necessarily. I suppose we could have always just gone 1 to 1, 0 to 0, but we are having the problem of it doesn't want us to get bitmap, but I mean, there totally is map right here. So. So this means the display text is frozen in. I just deleted it, but it's still working. It's not raising an exception that we failed the imports. Just a copy into the rows. Oh, display text is already in. But it is definitely also still frozen in because it does not have the... Oh, I'm silly. Obviously, our thing is called text area. Yeah. Still, we don't have anything on the screen though because we have created a label but not added it to the display. We've copied the contents of the label into this other bitmap, but we also haven't added that to the display. In order to do that, we need a tile grid. Other tile grid equals bitmap other pixel shader other. Now we can, oops. It's going to undo our scale. Yeah, undo our scale and also the location. Just going to scale main group for now. Really, the scale is just to make it easier to see. Okay. So now I'm going to add a third color to the palette. And let's say we have white text. Let's say we want to get a black outline. Seems to think those are required. But it's also just still working, so I'm not sure if they are actually required or if the license is just mad for some. So this is going to take a bitmap. It is going to take a target color index. Yeah. Target color index, and it's going to take an outline color index. It is going to loop over all the pixels inside the bitmap. And I think I saw somewhere, I think that it was slower to access them with XY instead of just index, but I think I'm still going to access them by XY because then we won't have to convert to linear index when we want to stamp our thing onto it. Yeah, let's go for, I don't know, I like to think of it as, I guess, going across. So we'll have Y as the outer. So for Y in range bitmap height, for X in range bitmap width. Just don't fill in, but right. We're now gonna go if bitmap XY equals target color index. We want to stamp our other thing, which for now I'm just going to hard code 3x3 this. But we could eventually make different ones of these, which would lead to different outcomes. Although if we do want to go that far, I think modifying blit inside of the core is going to help out a lot. Now I'm going to take the simple hard-coded approach, though. So if we found the current pixel we're looking at is the target color, we basically want to go and take the whole surrounding 3x3 and paint it the outline color, except we only want to paint pixels that are not the target color. So from here we need to go for hesitate to call it X again, but I'm gonna do it, I think, for X lock in. I'm just gonna cheat for now and do this. Why I should do it in the same order as the outer one. But we're basically looping over, we want to loop over the 9 pixels that surround the one that we found. So up by 1, down by 1, left by 1, right by 1, and then all permutations of those. And then we want to say bitmap x plus x lock, y plus y lock, and we actually want to check if it is not equal to the target color. Then finally we want to fill it in with the outline color. I suspect Pylint will be displeased with this, but that's all right. So loop over every pixel. When we find one that is the target pixel color, loop over the 9 surrounding. For each one of those, if it's not the target color, then fill it in outline color. And our hard coding here effectively makes this the 3x3. Add outline, other bitmap. Target color is white. No, target color index is 1. Outline color is 2. Nice. Is it just me, or does it look bigger on the bottom? Looks bigger on the bottom. Maybe not. I'm surprised that's so fast, honestly. I expected this to be really slow. Although it is worth keeping in mind our actual source bitmap is 5 times smaller, so the amount of pixels we're looking through is way fewer than how big it appears on the screen. Okay, well, that was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. That's pretty much what I want. Yeah, I mean, it's a little blocky, but you can also change the blockiness on it by changing the shape that you stamp. Like if you stamp a circle instead of a square, then it will have more rounded edges. This thing also, somewhere it talks about using an X. or across. Okay. Maybe let's also have it so that you can declare the size of the outline. And it defaults to 1, and 1 will get you this behavior. So we actually want to do maybe for ylock in range of negative size positive size, but we have to +1 because range is exclusive on that side, I think. That should work the same. Does not. Okay, well, for one thing, that looks better. Is there a little bit blue there in the R? Thing on the camera, I guess. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, so then could we go size equals 2, and we should get double outline bolder. Keep stepping it up to make it more bold. Eventually it's going to look like a square outline, which makes it less interesting as compared. I mean, like at some point you could just use the background color of the existing label, right? Like this blue box that we have, you know, we could have made that black, and then at some point we're going to kind of meet in the middle of our outline is so big that it basically just becomes that rectangle. But we also do have the scaling in the mix here. Remember, we're at ×3 right now, so everything that we do is 3 times as large. So our 2-sized outline is actually getting displayed as 6 by the time it makes it to the physical pixels on the display. But like that, it's much smaller. Probably would be hard to see the 1 scale. Yeah, pretty much. Three is kind of big for down there. Okay. We could make it a lot faster if we could do some of it in C. I mean, basically the thing is it's actually really slow. It's happening so fast that we don't see it, which I'm kind of pleased with and a little bit surprised by. But the truth is this is not efficient at all because we are looping over every pixel inside of our bitmap. So with bigger bitmaps, this will slow down, probably quite a lot. But then for each one of those pixels, we're also looping like 3 times size squared or something like that. Yeah, that's not quite the right formula, but we're looping a bunch of times per pixel inside the bitmap as well. If we could use split, we could cut out this entire part of the code, which means we get rid of all of these inner loops in Python code. Because instead of this, if we had a function like bitmap.blit. The location would be this. Source bitmap would be like, we'll just call it stamp source for right now, but it would basically be a bitmap that contains whichever one of these, whichever stamp we want to do. And then that would be all. Well, we would need one more. So we would need an argument that doesn't exist today. We would need a skip target index. And we would want to be skipping the index of 1 in our case. And so basically, if this could exist, it would let us copy from stamp source into bitmap at location XY. We would need to actually minus some here. We would need to minus, I don't know, maybe size, so that we get the top left. And then this argument, which doesn't actually exist today, this would take the place of this right here. This would tell it when you get to a pixel inside of the target bitmap, if it has this index, then don't stamp over the appropriate pixel for it. Instead, just leave it. There is skip index, but skip index is only for more explanation. We should move this explanation here to in here. Or at least copy, I guess. It'd be nice if it's in both places, truthfully. Anyway, though, in here it tells you what the skip index does, which is that if it is encountered... Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking of them backwards a little bit, sort of, but it says if it is encountered in the source bitmap, which in this case, that's the one being passed in. So that would be stamp source. So skip index, which does exist, not skip target index, but skip index, that one is saying if we come across that index inside the source, then we don't copy it into the destination, which is similar to what we want to do, but it's like the opposite, basically. We want to check the destination. If the destination is that index, then we want to skip it. And I think doing that would be fairly easy. We would need to change some boilerplate, so... Does it really need to be 32? Should it be 16 or? I guess it refers to the destination only really as self. Refers to it as self bitmap here. Which also makes sense because you're calling it on that object. That's the object that you call blit. So maybe we should say skip self index. It's weird that it had that none. I guess that's a special thing for making it work with none. Self-index. Very similar to this. Oh boy. Was this here before? I don't know. Yeah. Oh, gee. Why would I delete a line with Control Y? Self-index, map palette index in the self that will not get overwritten. Six quotes. Yes. Map palette index in the self bitmap. Here to just call it self as a like noun, like in the self will not get overwritten by pixels from the source. Okay, I get it. Why there needs to be a none, because as a number, there's no. I think that we need like a null thing, basically. A little trickier. We actually need to have this also. Self and have the number and the none. They both come in. Seeing we're probably gonna have to do like all of the same stuff for that. I don't know, why would we want to keep the indentation, I guess, huh? Skip self-index none. Oh. So here it can be none, or it can be this at least, which is none on the Python side. That is interesting that it can be kind of both when it's here and here. But by the time it goes into common HAL, it needs to get broken out to a number and a Boolean. Do this, and then all of these are going to be this one. Why would we want that though? Why? My indentation is so weird. Okay. If it is equal to none, set it to 0. Set this to true. Else, if it's not equal to none, then basically validate that it's an integer and get its value and store it into here. And set this to false. All of that, we're going to be calling this with these two things added. Does it want to be down here? I'm not sure if the formatting works. So in shared module, we now need to add both of these here. You can see there's kind of a lot of boilerplate to add. You want to just add one argument. In our case, it ends up being 2 because of the way that none gets treated. Good news is once we do all this work in here, on the Python side, it's super duper easy. Skip index none, skip self-index none. Okay, we're good there. Finally should have our new value got passed in, and then basically adding another if statement kind of thing in here, basically like we want to get how do we want to do this? It'd be more efficient to check the none thing first. And if the none thing is whatever it needs to be, then don't bother getting the value. Because right now, we're actually going to be spending time to look up this value, even if this was none, which means we would not be making a comparison. So then we would have spent time on that. It gets more verbose and it adds more layers because we'd need like another if statement and everything would get indented in again. But it would make it so that we wouldn't execute this when it's not necessary sometimes. Because if this is none, then it's not going to be necessary. Is it? Well, it's still using value, actually. Okay, never mind. Well, everything I said about that is not true for the source bitmap. We have to get the pixel out of the source bitmap. But for our destination pixel, we have no other use for that value. We only care about that value if our thing is not none. That's none, we just behave the exact same way as we do today. Else, if it is not none, then we are gonna want, we are gonna want this, but we also need an additional check. Still working. That just changed a bunch of stuff that. Okay. So we need to get the value from the destination bitmap. And this is only when that is not none. Dest value, common how get bitmap, that's going to come from self instead of source. Everything else should be the same. And then it's going to be if dest value is not equal to skip self index, then do the rest of that. Okay, what are the chances this code is like valid file? I say not super high, but maybe. We should fix the comment. I hesitate to change it like while the compiler is running. The dot 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 thing. Map H. Oh, I think we can't just have a comma here. It's interesting how some things are best practices in some languages and illegal in other languages. It's like Python, I'm pretty sure, doesn't Pylint and or Black complain if you don't have those commas? I don't remember if it's like Pylint complains or if it's like Black just adds them for you. I'm pretty sure one or the other of those, though, really wants you to have those trailing commas. Dest? Oh, I think that should be dest value. Third time's the charm? Maybe not. I'm going to say maybe one or two more tries still probably, but we'll see. Seems like I got all my semicolons, which is a step in the right direction. Hopes that a lot of what I added uses curly brackets instead of semicolons. Okay, bootloader. Copy, build, PyPortal, firmware, media. Okay, so far nothing should change. And we didn't even like hard crash or completely kill anything altogether, so that's good. We haven't saved this, which is why this isn't mad. And our code actually uses blit, doesn't it? Because we blitted from the label. Yeah, we blitted from the label to the other bitmap, and like we did not make everything explode, so pretty good. We need to have stamp source. For now, I'm just gonna say stamp source is a bitmap with So for if size is 1, it should be 3 by 3. If size is 2, it should be 5 by 5. Size is 3, it should be 7 by 7. Size is 4, it should be 9 by 9. So what is the actual relation, though? Um, I mean, have these, I guess. Is it always times 2 plus 1? It's always times 2 plus 1 because you get 1 for the left side, 1 for the right side, and then you have 1 in the middle for plus 1. And if it's size 2, then you get 2 on the left side, 2 on the right side, 1 in the middle. You have size 3, then it's 3 on the left side, 3 on the right side. It's always 3 on both sides and then 1 in the middle. So it's always times 2 plus 1. So that will be size times 2. I really wish it would not. Just ignore what I type. Height and width are both that. Number of colors, I mean... Two? I think we go 2, and then... For now, I'm just going to fill it with 1s. I'm going to fill it with index 1. Stamp source dot fill 1. So we're making a square that is size times 2 plus 1 squared. Has 2 colors. We're going to fill it all with the index of 1. So if size is 1, we're going to end up with a 3 by 3 square of all 1s. It's like this. If size is 2, we're going to end up with a 5 by 5 square of all 1s. Once we have that, we're going to be able to blit it into there. Shoot, but we want... Yeah, we actually need this to be 3, and we need to fill it with 2s. We want to fill it with the same... Actually, we should be using outline color index. And we should be passing this as a variable. Yeah, we need at least this many colors. It feels wasteful, because, like, if this was 10, then we're just going to be making 10 colors in our bitmap, even though we're only actually using one of them. But seems like the only option we have, I think. So number of colors will be outline color index plus 1. If we're passing in 2, then we're going to need 3. and we'll fill it with this. So target color is 1, outline color is 2, size is currently set to 2. Still looping over our pixels in the main bitmap, but instead of looping over the surrounding pixels now, we are calling blit. Stamp in the stamp source, our new skip target functionality. So visually, it should actually end up looking the same. But keyword arguments given 45, 38 target index. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe those are not allowed to be keyword? Word argument given. Get to play the game of where did we skip something. It's like probably, right? Isn't there like a regis? We didn't really register. It's like it's not a new property. It's just new arguments. Are labeled like arg only? Skip self. Did I call it wrong? Name. Ooh. No good. It looks like it worked, but it covered up the white. Our skipping didn't work. How do these think they're unused? Thinks everything is unused though. Is there a shared module H that we need to touch? Have anything with blit? Is that right? I can guess this. Oh, you're like not allowed to do that, are you? Like I've been down this road before. You can't just print booleans like this, can you? You need to make it a number or something. I think I did that wrong also. lowercase. Okay, we want to print whether or not none is true, and then if none is not true, we want to print the number we have. Oops. Oh. Wow. That spammed a lot of stuff. I guess when the REPL is showing, I guess the terminal output must be calling blit probably because there was a lot of spam. Forgot new lines. It's pretty much impossible. Like it actually put a value. This is all sorts of useless. Let's put some new lines. Can't we substitute these in? I don't think that's the right thing to do though. %s maybe? But it's not else. It's not %s also because I don't think you can do that with a Boolean. This one could be %d maybe. It's not printing the false correctly, or false or true. It's not printing the Boolean correctly, but it is printing skip self index of 1. Which makes us know that that is evaluating to false because we got down to here and then we printed 1. And 1, it should be the thing we're skipping. Oh. Why didn't actually skip it? S index? That's source? And help that source and self both start with S. You. And in our case, they're not being equal because we are Printing the one though. I get those backwards? Supposed to be 0. It might supposed to. Might just have backwards. I think 0 was the background and 1 was the, or vice versa. I think 0 was the foreground and 1 background. Means that our skip number should actually be 0, not 1. Technically, we're skipping the blue pixels instead of the black pixels, but that's not really the case either. Test values are all 0. No. 1 is the foreground because 1 is what's getting printed as white. Can't find it anymore because this has spammed much. Target color index 1. Why is the value always 0? Sometimes dest value should be 1. The times when it finds a white pixel. Should find because there are white pixels. I mean, this is the pixel we're getting out of source. Means ultimately it's the pixel that we are writing into destination. We do have problem is need to be looking at these, I think. Instead of YS. Basically, we want to check the pixel that we're about to write into, which is this one. We were essentially just checking like the top left corner of the blue box over and over again, because our source is only 3 by 3 or 5 by 5 or whatever, but our destination is much bigger. There we go. Now we're finding some other colors. Nice. Okay, let's turn all those prints off, because that also is going to make it a lot slower. This one didn't even work in anyway. BRB. Okay. Seemed pretty quick. Yeah, basically instant. Faster than we can even see. So does it work for bigger still, though, that part? Good at that scale, at least. Yeah. Cool. So what do I want to do with it right now? I think it'd be interesting to see the times. I mean, 2-3 seconds. Basically took these 4 lines and moved them into C. Presumably this is slower. 0.32 seconds. At this size of a bitmap, we gained, seeing that they're opposite, 3223, but that's coincidental, I think. We gained 0.9 or ish, almost a tenth of a second. This would scale with your outline size, though. I think, like, if we do a big outline size, it will take longer. So that one took 0.73. The difference will be bigger on big outlines. This will probably still take close to a quarter second. 6. As your outline size gets bigger, the efficiency gains from blit get also bigger. Of course, your thing also gets blocky, so we could get a font that's a little bit bigger and more separated also, though. I'm gonna work on just a little kind of like demonstrator of this functionality. I want to put a different thing in the background, and I want to remove the blue pixels. Be transparent instead of blue. I want to use trees or something else. Raspberry Pi Picos. I can just copy those within this thing. I think it'll... page. Our portal is 320 by 240. Very big. Scale this. Nice. Direct aspect ratio already. Ooh, we lost a lot of the greens. Oh, wait. Is that still set to use like 5 colors? Yeah, three colors even. That looks a lot better. I was doing something else yesterday. 77K. We're going to put main group with no scale. We're going to make a scaled group. That at scale 2. Stop printing. Background in first. So we want on disk bitmap background. File? Yeah. Oh, there it is. That's all it takes. Background. Need a tile grid, background, UTG. Background. Shader. I wonder if we could make tile grid check if background has a pixel shader, and if it does, just use it instead of needing to pass both. That's gonna go main group. Background tile grid, and then other tile grid is actually gonna go to scaled group, and then main group is gonna get scaled group. So the text can be scaled, but the background will be not. A keyword reference. File, I guess, maybe? There we go. And then we want the blue to go away, so blue is in 0. Other palette dot make transparent 0. And let's also make sure it works with custom fonts. I believe it should not need to change at all. We should just use a label that has a custom font, and then it should just work. Map font. A font file we call load font, and then we pass that to label. Have that one. Let's pick like something big. Let's try Arial to start with. Arial 24 bold. much slower, and also much too big this time. Three, two. So I actually want to make a, I want to show the one without the outline. Pick this out. Does anything change? Nope. Okay, good to go. So if we just put this on the display, what we need to do. Scale. Yeah, that makes it really, really, really easy to see the difference between the two and how much easier it is to read the outlined text. So a few things to consider. Right now we just have this random function that does this on any bitmap. What is the best way to expose this for use by other people? Because I think just having a random function is probably not it. Maybe bitmap tools, or maybe even the bitmap object itself. It feels like a bitmap tools kind of thing. Like maybe bitmap tools.add outline. It'd be a function that exists inside that core module. That would actually give us another speed up because it would make our outer loop here, which is currently happening in Python code, that would actually start happening in C code as well. So that would get a lot faster, probably a similar kind of speed up as what we saw by adding blit into here. But the code will be a lot harder to understand because it will be in C. Once it exists generically to do with bitmaps, I think the next logical step is a new kind of label. I was talking about before, like an outlined label as another one that exists, and then you initialize it, you give it the colors, and it will do all of this for you without you having to like manually. Because like here we still have a lot of manual stuff going on, right? Like I made my label, and then technically we didn't even use it. I eventually added it so we could compare, but really we made it and then copied its contents into another bitmap, and then that's the one we started using. But if we made a new kind of label subclass, like all of this could happen internally, the user would not need to worry about copying to a different bitmap and increasing the palette to be bigger and that kind of stuff. Let's run pre-commit on this and push this into a branch for now. The change inside the core. We can get rid of these, I think. This is working now. Next bitmap C. That's 0, but I think that's 0. I don't know what that is. That's not actually true, basically. Not on line 0. What line are we on, though? Skip self-index? 200, maybe? Comma. Build. But that one should have changed it for me. They were modified, then why did we fail the next time? For one thing, this just like completely changed the whole indentation here. But I don't get why we're failing. I don't, if it changed, like, files were modified, so if they were modified, why were they modified to a way that still fails? They undo very well either. Probably not good, right? New branch, split, skip self-index from in track. I have these other changes because of last night. We tested freezing in the newer versions of these libraries, which I shouldn't even call newer versions because they're not released yet, but we don't want to push that into this unrelated thing. We only want to be changing the bitmap lit, which it looks like we are here. Did pre-commit put that in? Maybe pre-commit put that in. No, okay. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here pretty quick. The main thing I wanted to work on today, even my stretch goal was modifying the core to make that work inside of Blit, so we even actually hit that. Really nice. I think maybe later at some point I'll work on the outlined label object, and maybe also moving this add outline to the core. It could be called dilate, I guess, which is a thing this concept is called. It's more so when you use it with the same color. It feels more like how I would think of dilate. Just make the source object bigger. But when you're using a different color, then it's effectively adding an outline to it. I guess there is a choice to be made. Do we keep calling it outline, or do we try to make it even more generic and call it morphological dilation? Apparently what it's called for real. And in that case, we could also make it to where you could choose the same color and it would grow without making the outline a different color. We would need to change our algorithm any for that, though. That might need to be tweaked. using it. I ended up with scale 1. Still have scaled group. See if it passes. I don't know if we have added too much to make any of the builds over the limit of space. I'll see once the actions are done, but I think I'm going to head out for now there. I do hope everyone has a good day and a good rest of your weekend and all that stuff. If you're in the US and celebrating 4th of July, then have a happy holiday. Be safe. Don't blow anything up that's important, please. And yeah, I will see you all next time. I think I'll probably be around on Friday for the deep dive. May or may not pop on at some time before then, but I'm not entirely sure. So we'll have to play that one by ear. You can always follow over on the Twitch if you want notifications for that. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.